right, everybody. So, welcome back to the show. This is Progressives Abroad reporting live. Well, probably by the time you hear this, it won't be live anymore, but recording live here in Oslo, Norway. And just picking up a little bit of what happened Super Tuesday and where do we go from here. So, um, before Super Tuesday, you may have remembered that in our last episode that we were talking about phone banking and how to get involved. And I did that, and I think I gave a little bit of a report about what happened. So if you want to know a little bit more about what happened during phone banking, check out our last episode from a couple days ago. But to say the least, it was pretty difficult, entertaining, interesting to talk to people, but very difficult. I mean, man, we have a lot of work to do. I'm not gonna butter it up and sugarcoat it. There's a lot of work to still do too, with just the average person, the average random person you call up on the phone. Are they aware that it is primaries? Are they aware who's running for candidate? Who are the candidates? Are they aware where their polling places are? I mean, all of these things quite crucial, and it's pretty amazing actually how little people are involved in politics. So sometimes we sit here in our bubble, you know, online or with our friends, and we're talking a lot about politics and these kinds of things. Or maybe I'm talking to you right now, and you are one of those people that are maybe not so involved. And I mean, of course, I wish everybody was involved, and I wish at least more people were more aware of the politics and social needs of the general population. But we've got a lot of work to do. A lot of people are just unaware, and this is unfortunate. And this is, of course, a result of a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of socioeconomic problems in our country, all the inequality that keeps people stressed out, that keeps people scattered, that keeps people busy. They have honestly no time to pay attention. How can you really blame them, you know? And they only get a little bit of this and a little bit of that. They get just from the 5 minutes of news they watch a day or whatever they see on the headlines. So, I mean, this is the problem. You keep people busy, you keep people stressed, you keep people underfed, unhealthy, uneducated, with all these different stresses around them with finances and drive to work, and gotta feed the cat, and gotta take care of my aging relatives and parents and family members or myself with health problems, because I don't have a proper system that can assist in this situation. And this all leads to a more distracted and uninformed general public. And so try some phone banking. I highly encourage it. It is a way to um, get back in touch if you've been out to lunch for a little bit, get back down to earth, and get a good handle on the local situation. Which brings me to Super Tuesday. Whew. Well, right before Super Tuesday, I mean, just right before, Pete Buttigieg dropped out, Amy Klobuchar dropped out. Now, if you're like me, maybe there's a slight sigh of relief that you just don't have to, you know, listen to these people anymore. But I did not really feel much relief, because I had already this strong feeling like I knew it was going to happen. Rally behind the Biden, and especially after his strong performance in South Carolina. And this is exactly what happened. Um, that being said, I mean, I hate to say it. I told you so. Although I didn't tell you so because I didn't have this podcast yet. But I have been watching, and I know many other people have too, but I've been watching over, the battle against the Bernie since 2015, right? But really, the strong kind of shift in strategy that appeared just about a year, maybe a little bit more than a year ago, when people were just starting to announce, polls were just starting to come out about who's going to run for Democratic candidate. And I remember, I mean, does anybody else remember this? I'm sure some of you out there remember this, that they were running Biden in polls, in the mainstream corporate establishment media polls, months before Biden was announcing that he would run for president. I think he didn't announce until middle April. I think Bernie announced middle of February. So did Elizabeth Warren. I think she might have been one of the first actually announcing in December 2018. And of course, Andrew Yang. He's no longer with us, but he announced all the way back, I think in 2017. I remember first hearing about him. But it was just so strange, especially in the few months leading up to, the Biden announcement, that the mainstream media was throwing him in the polls anyways, up against all these other candidates. Like, I don't know, a little suspicious, eh? Like he was some ghost kind of looming in a lot of the different polls, although he wasn't running. And I thought at that point in time, very interesting, very suspicious. What is this strategy we're working on here? And I mean, you could see what the strategy was. They were already kind of field testing, crowd, what do they call it? Crowd, I don't have the right word for it right now, but crowd testing the crowd, focus grouping kind of among the American people. Would this Biden fly? And I'm not sure what happened in those, behind closed door focus groups, but for sure, you could see what was happening. They have all these different candidates with all kind of similar talking points, kind of similar thing. You had so many, and I mean, it was really like across the board, every different type of neoliberal, like historically neoliberal democratic politicians from like all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of ethnicities, all kinds of social backgrounds. They were just kind of testing it out. And I mean, that's what we've seen over the past year with this primary. We've seen, people start off a bit more towards the Bernie side because I know that's popular. That's kind of like the flavor, the futuristic flavor of the Democratic Party right now, especially for young people. But with people like when Pete Buttigieg first came out, he was all about Medicare for all. When Elizabeth Warren jumped in the race, she was 100% about Medicare for all. Still kind of is, but kind of on the edge, and not until 4 years. But that's a whole other that's a whole other podcast. Right, you had all these people that were field testing. The moderate who is about Medicare for all. The moderate who's definitely not. You can find that in Amy Klobuchar. You had all the different ethnicities. We've had the women, the younger women, the older women, the middle-aged African American. We got the LGBT, moderate. We got everybody who was in the race, and slowly but surely, they were all being kind of field tested. Now, I'm not sure if the original choice, I'm not sure if the final destination was Biden. I think maybe at first the final destination may have been Biden, but then probably, this is, of course, my observations. I have not too much to back this up on. At least empirically, but for just what it seems to me, they were testing out all these different candidates with kind of a mishmash of a lot of the same kind of ideologies, and mostly centrist and moderate platforms. And then, one by one, kind of started dropping off. Okay, our strategists say no more. Strategists say no more. No more Cory Booker. No more Kamala Harris. I'm not exactly sure how far I went or who else was in on it, but I mean, definitely here in this past couple of days, we've seen Klobuchar, Buttigieg, rally behind Biden. Super Tuesday, yeah, I mean, of course, Biden won majority of the states. Bernie still won pretty strong, and definitely, won hard in California, so the race is still pretty tight when it comes to delegates. But we're only left pretty much with Elizabeth Warren, who at this point also kind of, I've been continually skeptic of Elizabeth Warren, especially over the past year and regarding some of her previous history in politics. But she's still in there, kind of. I think kind of taking away from some of the Bernie vote, but I don't know. Elizabeth Warren's a mixed bag, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens any moment now. I mean, I just checked the news a few minutes ago, and I mean, she is. Her campaign is spending all Wednesday today, considering what to do and where the future goes. So I think this is really going to be also like a turning point for Elizabeth Warren, because uh, could be a could be the final nail in the coffin of her pseudo progressive, seemingly pseudo progressive position on things. Will she go fully towards the Biden side, kind of similar like what she did in 2016 by, kind of lockstepping behind Hillary Clinton, or has there been maybe some kind of reconciliation between her and Bernie's side? I mean, could they make some kind of strategic move to perhaps bring Warren in and get her up in the administration afterwards? I mean, because that's what it seems like at this point. I hate to sound like all this comes down to strategy, but to me it seems like, you know, everybody wants to get up in that White House. Everybody wants to get in that cabinet. So that's what we see happening with Biden right now. Is, I mean, all of these moderate centrist Democrats kind of all just merged together and coagulated and became this one big melted together, just steaming pile of neoliberal anybody but Bernie, toilet waste. And I mean, what's crazy about this is, I think at the end of the day, this all comes down to one big bet, and that big bet by the DNC and the centrist moderate Democrats is that big bet is that Trump is so scary that people are going to come out and vote in fear. That's what they're betting on. I mean, we've seen this in 2016, and I mean, although Hillary did win, I think by the end about 3 million more votes than Trump in the popular vote. That should have been a landslide. I mean, if Trump is really that scary, and he is scary, I mean, closing, the borders to Muslims, immigrants, throwing children in cages, terrible environmental policy. I mean, the list goes on and on. Not to mention just being a, you know, disgusting human being. I mean, Hillary should have curb stomped Donald Trump. I mean, I'm not. I had to hold my nose and vote for Hillary in the last election too. But I mean, if he really was as bad as, not as bad, I mean, he's as bad, but is he really as scary to people as the Democratic Party pretty much rigged the election and put all their chips on Hillary, and they think they're going to pull that off again? I am really not so confident in that. And I'm not sure that's going to be a successful move this time again, especially after so many people who are looking for something different. Even at this point in time, they're not looking for Trump. They're not looking for another centrist Democrat, but they're looking for somebody like Bernie or something else. I mean, then I'm not sure those people are going to come out to the polls and just vote blue no matter who. I'm not confident of that. I mean, Trump, of course, is scary, disgusting, fascist, anti-immigrant, racist, whatever. I mean, he's terrible for the country and the world. But to revert back to old Joe, not old, but I mean old Joe, like, good old Joe. And that kind of government, that kind of neoliberal, like slow incremental, it's not even incremental change, it's like incremental downward spiral into the abyss of nothingness. Whew. I mean, I don't know. I'm I'm just saying, get out there and phone bank for Bernie. Get out there and do whatever you can to get that man elected, and also down ballot, getting all the other progressive candidates um, elected in your local elections. Because I mean, the one thing on the upside that all of this kind of weird, what seems like a lot of smoky backroom deals going on the moderate Democrat side, everybody kind of rallying in this kind of, Hydra, like 8-headed beast or whatever you want to call it, that seems like becoming Joe Biden. I mean, one thing that we can know from this is that they are afraid of Bernie big time. And they're not even just Bernie, but they're afraid of the movement behind him and what will come in the future. I mean, I'm pretty sure at this point in time, these Democrats that are supposedly on the Democratic, these Democrats who are supposedly so democratic, I'm quite sure that for them and their pocketbooks and their donors, it's safer to have a Trump president than a Bernie or Bernie style president. They're afraid, and they're afraid of the movement and all the other people that are going to come behind that in down ballot, local elections, state elections, and further candidates in the future. And it shows how much, even more than they're afraid of just these candidates, how afraid they are of the American people to get what they need: healthcare, education, a better environment, save the environment. We're in climate catastrophe, better infrastructure, all these things that would help the American people live better lives, live healthier lives, become more knowledgeable and more informed decision makers in the ballot box and in life. So, and when you put it like that, yeah, it actually sounds like a pretty terrifying future for your average corporate politician. So, yeah, that's what they're afraid of. So what now? So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what Warren does. And I mean, I think what we're going to see from this new kind of gang of friends that is rallying and conglomerating behind Joe Biden is it's going to be interesting. I mean, this is an interesting strategy that started quite a long time ago, over a year ago, I think, with the original polling, ghost polling, let's call it. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if, all of this, this is the strategy of the Democrats, the moderate Democrats so far. All of these different campaigns that have been going on, the Buttigieg, the Klobuchar, all these people, they've all been just rallying for each other, and now they've found their Trojan horse, which is the Biden, and they're going to be campaigning all over it. So all that Buttigieg, all that Klobuchar, all of that stuff has all been for this candidate. And that's a lot of support. That's a lot of advertising. And they may very well continue doing that. I mean, I don't know what else they have to do. What does Buttigieg else have to do than campaign for Biden? And who knows? Maybe he ends up VP or something like that. Shall be interesting. If they do, it's still, I think, too soon to tell and worry about, what. It's good to start thinking about what'll happen at the convention. But I mean, in the saddest case scenario, we could imagine, all of these people are promised cabinet positions and they try to go for the brokered convention and then blow Bernie some crumbs. Say, oh yeah, take this little position in there and bring your voters in. And oof, let's scrap that for now. I don't even want to think about it. It sounds very depressing. Get out there, phone bank. Share this, please, if you can. Share this podcast. We want to get this word out to more people. We got more interviews coming out soon. We just got to get the word out. We got to get that healthcare. We got to get that strong environmental policy. We got to get that new infrastructure. We got to get that education. We got to create healthy, wise people, not just in our country, but all around the world. And I mean, this is it. Climate got 10 years. A lot of people who are sick won't even be around for that then. A lot of people will be. So thanks for listening. Keep on doing what you can to get the people what they need. Please let us know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to like us on Facebook. Sorry about our Instagram right now. It's been shut down for some mysterious reason. Please give us a shout. Progressives Abroad. Over and out.